That's better.
So welcome back to the pie crust table project. I have a couple of things I needed to fix on this table. For one, it was a little bit of a mistake, and the other was just maybe I didn't have the right skills to accomplish what I wanted to, or maybe I was just too cheap to buy solid materials and had to laminate some. And so what I got was a small ridge down some of the legs where it wasn't quite as flat as it should be. Filled that with some glue and some very fine sawdust and worked that out with sandpaper. You can still see a line, but I think it's going to be just fine. It's going to come out nice. And then the other problem I had is where I overcut, or maybe the jigs I had allow a little too much slop in my process. And it was a tight joint that when I shaved just a little bit, I found out the joint actually got wider at the other end. And so I had to add a piece to the dovetail. And so I'll show you what I did to fix that. So hang in there. So here I am at the final stages of getting this table ready for final assembly. I have an assortment of 150, 220, 320. I even have some 600 and just a lot of sanding. Now, back in the day, this would have been done with a spoke shave, hand planes, all sorts of things like that I don't have, so I get to do sanding, but this is actually coming out fairly well. This will suit my needs extremely well, and I think I'm going to be fine with that. Let me show you some challenges that I had for this one, though. Might be hard to see, but you can see there's a line here between the two. There was the tiniest little bit of a gap there. It's filled, but it still shows. This might need a little bit more work, but that's not a problem. But what I'm going to do, when I put the stain on this, I think that's going to virtually disappear. Right, and so for this table, which basically started out just to see if I could do it, this is going to be just fine. You can see that there are two pieces of wood glued up here. And you can even see a little bit in here, just tiny little gaps. I'm okay with that. So what's going on here? The joint, the dovetail joint, was a little bit loose for me. And yeah, it's a mistake, but hey, that's all about fixing mistakes, right? So I wanted to put a little bit of a piece on there. So what I did, let's come over here. I cut a thin sliver off of there after a few attempts. But see, very thin. I wanted to make the grain run the same way. That's important when you glue this up to the piece. And it has to be thin because I'm going to have to trim that to fit. There we are. But it's going to work great. You can see it's just a thin piece on there. It broke a few times, but I need to file that down. I'll file it and sand it, and of course that'll all get trimmed off. And then this should make the joint a lot tighter. I'll get to refine it a little more like I should have done in the first place. I've started filing this off. This was the piece I added on. You can barely even tell it's there, but I use this file because it allows me to take the angle of that dovetail and get down in there. And I just keep going till I get it to fit. I've filed the edge of it flat. You'll never see it, but and then that I'm not going to worry too much. And the goal is to get this to go in nice and tight. And as you can see, it's tight. So I have to make sure I don't go too far like I did the first time. But that worked out great. So what I'm doing, I'm flattening out this joint. This is the piece I added on. A lot of it has actually been taken right back to where it was, but I found out it was a little bit of a hump here, and that's what was keeping things from moving. So a little touch up with a chisel, clean the corner up. It's looking better. Clean up. See how it goes. Not a bad fit, and that is way better than it was before. It's got just enough movement. When I put the glue in there, it's going to be super tight and solid, and it's not going anywhere. So, success.